All right, good morning. Um, Hope you're all doing well. Happy Friday. It's definitely Friday, another week closer to summertime. I wonder if we'll be able to tell when summertime gets here, considering we're not actually in school. How much will our days change? Hopefully a lot. Anyway, we have this lizard lab to do, lizard evolution lab. And I wanted to run through an overview of what the lab looks like. There are four modules, and it might be a little on the more complex side. There's measurement, there's calculation, some stuff that we may not have touched upon for a while, but is definitely important to our scientific process. So, starting in Google Classroom, if you come, it is listed down under lab activities here. It'll be small and you can enlarge it. And then view assignment. And look at the instructions. And your screen will look a little bit different. I'm looking at my screen. So it gives you a walkthrough here. This lab is going to be due Tuesday, May 5th. So don't freak out about getting it done like now. If you've got the time, great. You can save your progress. You can start, do a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, do a module a day. And that's perfectly acceptable if you do one Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday, and one Monday. And then it leaves you Tuesday to go back and double check things. And I believe you can go forwards and backwards to sort of fix things. The big question is going to be the turning in. So at the end, there's a tab when we get there, I'll show you, that has all of your progress. And that allows you to print. And rather than print a physical paper, you can usually print to PDF, or that print button will actually allow you to save as a PDF. And I'll walk you through that as well. So I haven't included a link. Click it and the lab will open up. And here it is. It says, welcome to the Lizard Evolution Lab. It's very polite. You can see there are four modules: ecomorphs, phylogeny, experimental data, and then dewlap colors. And over here we have tabs that are going to be sort of important. So there's the introduction. I would definitely read all of that introduction and background. Tells you a little bit about what each module is about, and it gives you approximate time lengths. The ecomorphs is about an hour and 30 minutes. There's video clips and so on and so forth. So you may want to break that down over a day or so. That's 2 periods worth of time. So don't freak out. You don't have to get it all done in one day. It is not due until Tuesday. Module 2, phylogeny, goes quick. That should take about 15 minutes. The experimental data should take a little bit more, about 30 minutes. That's essentially 1 period's worth of work by the time you get organized. And then dewlap colors is also fast for 15 minutes. I like this lab activity because it does have integrated videos like the one you see over here. And then it has quizzes and things that are interspersed. Those quizzes are going to be where your grade comes from. It's completion. And the other nice thing about this is it won't let you go forward until you are done. And it'll prompt you if things are not really super accurate. And it lets you compare the data you collect to established data. So you can see how close are your numbers, so that when you get to making conclusions, you're making accurate conclusions. So if it's not accurate, go back, look at things again. Can you make more accurate measurements? You can skip the educator tab. That's just stuff about pretty much what I'm talking about here. A little bit about what you're going to have to do. Here is that important progress tab. It lists all of the 4 modules and the things that you have to do inside. So we have not done lizard groups yet. We have not taken measurements yet. We have not done our result table yet. We have not done our graphs yet. And these graphs are optional, but I would definitely give them a shot. And we have not done the questions yet. What makes this module so long is the measurements and the results table. Okay, so it's not hard. It's just we're doing some precision work with those measurements, and I'll show you how they're done. Okay, there is reference. This is background information on the different modules. There are sources there, so if you want to do a little more reading, you can. Help is available. Oh, also under reference, there's a glossary. If we get stuck on some vocabulary, most of those are highlighted in the text as we go through. There's help. If you're running into problems with devices, printing and PDF files, saving progress manually, any technical support. Saving your progress manually is covered under the Save Resume tab. If you're only going to be working on one device, your progress is going to be saved automatically as you go through. You can exit anytime, and you can turn on the same browser and the same device. Okay, it's going to ask you whether you want to resume or start over. If you resume, you go to the very last step you were at. If you start over, you start over. Which means if you were on Module 3 and you did Module 1 and 2 already, and you start over at Module 3, it's going to take you back to Module 1. So just read. It will always prompt you, are you sure you want to start over? Before you do that. If you're potentially going to be working on multiple computers, you should use your Google sign-in to save and do that. So you want to do the Google sign-in button above, right up here. Okay. To sign in, and press the Save Progress button every time you leave the lab. If you don't, it will not save across multiple devices. Okay. Google sign-in feature is not supported by Internet Explorer, so you need to be using Chrome or Firefox or some other browser, not Internet Explorer. Okay. So that's great. So if we look at these modules, we've got the Module 1, Ecomorphs. It'll take you through here, and it tells you you're working in Puerto Rico and Hispaniola. And all lizards that are there, those of you that have been there, that have family there, I'm sure you know these lizards. They are everywhere. There are tabs along the side of each module for the modules that are there. Okay, we can always jump to Module 2 for phylogeny, jump back to Module 1, okay? And so you can sort of work around. So if you go and you're not sure about something for Module 4, you can always go back to Module 1 and look again. There are tutorials on the X-ray image and the X-ray video. Okay, the video buttons will tell you how to measure lizard X-rays and topads. The image buttons let you view still images of completed measurements of X-rays and topads. And so we start off this, they ask us to do grouping, just like we did in the beginning of the unit. We've got pictures here. They want us to arrange them into groups. You can drag them around. If you click, it will increase in size. And so we can drag them any way we want and make groups. Enlarging is nice so that you can get a bigger picture. If you want to click on the magnifying glass, it shows that there. And once you hit continue, it asks you to select a label and label your groups. Press begin, select appropriate label for your first group, drag the label to that group. So if I want this to be green lizards, I know I have green lizards. And if I want short legs, I could make short legs. I can make my own label if I want. If you click up here, you'll get a new label. You can do gray lizards and drag that down. Okay, and the nice thing about that is And you will be asked to come back and look at these again. You can change names. So if I decide I want this to be short legs instead, I can change that. If I want this to be twigs, I can change that to twigs. Okay, and they're going to ask us to come back and revisit our groups a few times, and I can move lizards from one group into the other. So if I'm going to call that twigs, and I see twigs here in this picture, see the twigs, I can move that guy over to that group. Okay, and then continue. And next thing we get to do is measure the traits, and this is worth talking about. They do have tutorials here. So if we look at the X-ray image, you're going to be asked to measure hind limb. So we start at the beginning of the one bone. We go to that knee joint, to that ankle joint, out to the beginning of the toes, and then out along the toes. We should measure all the way out to the toe. Body length is from the nose to that pelvis, generally right between the two legs. And then the tail length, we start where the body ends and we go all the way along the tail. Okay. If for some reason you don't like your measurement, there will be a clear button and you can start over. So let me show you one. So here's our lizard. On the side, we've got our hind limb, body length, and tail length. So first is hind limb measurement. So I'm going to click here, 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 and all the way out at the end. And then I click record measurement, and it tells me that it's 31.0 millimeters. Okay, that's 3.1 centimeters. Next is body length. I put a mark at the head and right here at that pelvis. Now, notice how that is straight through, but it didn't go along the body. So I went to clear last. And it gets rid of that last dot that I placed. So I'm going to now place here where this bend starts, and then this way. Notice how that goes along the center line of the body. It's probably going to be a more accurate measurement than my first one. And I'm going to record measurement. And then we do tail length. So I'm going to start where the body ends. And we're just going to go along this tail in little segments. So once again, we do our best to stay straight along that spine. Because it's curved, we're going to have to take smaller segments as we make sharper bends. Okay, but as we get to longer pieces, we can make longer measurements. Okay, and then we go out to the end and we record measurement, and that's 113.8 millimeters. Okay, if we're happy with all that stuff, we save and continue. Okay, and that was the X-ray. So we do the X-ray for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we do toe measurements for 2. The toe measurements are kind of fun. So here are the toes, and if we press, it'll zoom in for us, and we want to count each little pad all the way up to where the foot is. So this whole distance. And as you click, it puts a little marker. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice as we're clicking, it's putting numbers here. So you don't need to count. All you got to do is click. That's changed to 6 and then to 7. And I got 50. It tells me that my Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Um, it tells me that the toe-pad count was off by more than 2 from the correct number. And it asks me if I want to redo the count or continue anyway. And so I can redo that count and try again to see if I get it more accurate. You're going to want to clear last and see, hey, let's save and continue. So I'm going to redo the count. And I can clear the last, save and continue, and redo the count. And I mean, that's one way to do it, just sort of by trial and error. But I'm willing to bet I'd probably put a couple of extras in here. And I kind of did that on purpose to get it wrong. And then down here as well. So it's nice because it will prompt you so that you at least get an answer that is reasonable, that's there. Okay. If I decide, hey, it's lunchtime, I'm tired, I can come up here to save, resume. Okay. If you are using your Google, it'll have the save progress. If we look here, it shows us that we are completed our lizard groups, but we're incomplete on measurements and so on. And as we go through, it'll mark all this stuff complete or incomplete. And it'll actually have results for your questions that are listed. Okay. That's pretty much most of the lab. Phylogeny. Once again, we've got all this great stuff. They're asking us to use a site called Mabel to perform your search. You can open that site up. They've got a link directly to it. They want you to paste the DNA sequences here. And they've kind of made this easy for you. Mabel's site was open. Press continue when you finish generating your phylogenetic tree. So if we just go back, you can highlight all of this stuff, copy it, and then in Mabel, just paste everything. And then hit submit. And it'll do its analysis and so on and so on. And it'll start to calculate the phylogeny. And eventually it's going to create a phylogenetic tree for you. It takes some time. Be patient. It's a lot of information that needs to be computed. So just wait. It will work. But because of all of this and because of all the measurements that you do, I do recommend not using a phone. Phones have really small screens. It's going to be hard to see. It's going to be hard to get accurate stuff. It's going to be hard to see some of those results. Also, a wireless connection on a phone is going to take a long time to process some of this data. Okay. It does show you what the tree looks like there. See if you can get it correct and compare the one that you make using Mabel to the one that they show you here. And then it talks about reading that and it asks you some questions, etc. Okay. That should go pretty quickly. Module 3, we look at our experimental data. Here we test an idea of taking, lizards and relocating them from a large island to several small islands to see if their physical features change over time. It's a real-life experiment that was done, and what you will do is interact with some of that real-world data. There will be calculations there. And then the last one are the dewlap colors. This one goes pretty quickly. It's kind of fun. Dewlap is this little piece down here that hangs down off their neck. It's kind of like the gobbler on a turkey. And so you slide the scale to match the color, and it'll do all the calculations for you here automatically, so it goes pretty quickly. Now, a word about calculations. There are instructions over here on the calculator tab about how to make your calculations using a calculator and how to make calculations using Microsoft Excel. Google Sheets should work in a similar fashion. If you're using a calculator, it walks you through sample mean, which is just an average. Add all your numbers up, divide by the total numbers. Okay, and they give you some examples here. Then calculating standard deviation. This may be new to some of you. Some of you may have done it before. The procedure is right here to calculate the sample SD, or standard deviation. Tells you exactly what to do. If you're going to use Excel, once again, there are instructions on how to do this. And one of the things I may put up is a tutorial also on using Excel for this lab. Standard error of the mean, or SEM. And then the last thing is our confidence interval. Okay, when you get to that calculation portion of the lab, this may be very, very helpful to you. All right, that's where I'm going to end the overview. Hope it was helpful. I will have some Google Meetups or Hangouts posted with times during the few days that we're going to be working on this. So if you do have questions, I will be available. You can come on in. We can have a conversation about it. I can help you directly. Hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.